In the middle of the night, the Senate sent us over a bill that was absolutely unacceptable. Section 4, number 14, U.S. Immigration, Customs Enforcement, and Border Operations, under the heading U.S. Custom and Border Patrol, shall have no force or effect for the purposes of this act. So basically what they're saying is Customs and Border Patrol has no authority, no money for Customs, Border Patrol, and our national security. No funding for DHS. Maria, that is absolutely unacceptable. And what they're trying to do is hold us hostage. And we will not negotiate while they're holding not only our national security hostage, but while they're holding the Department of DHS, TSA agents hostage and not getting them paid.
We've fully funded ICE and CBP through the end of this fiscal year. So the people rolling the dice right now are Democrats or Republicans in the House thinking Democrats will ever agree to anything other than what we've got on the table, which is funding the rest of DHS, using the funds in the one big beautiful bill to fund through the end of this fiscal year. Now, from my standpoint, what we also need to do is we need to move to a reconciliation appropriation process because Democrats are going to continue to obstruct this. I think you're also aware of the fact that, the split in the Senate in terms of a filibuster is those of us who believe the Democrats will do it next time they have the power and those who are hoping beyond hope that they won't.
Well, that was basically the crux of the fight Friday night. House Republican Conference Chair Lisa McClain with me yesterday, followed by Ron Johnson, the senator from Wisconsin, on why the House rejected the Senate's deal to end the DHS shutdown late Friday night in the dead of the night. Republicans say that the Senate's bill did not fund ICE or Customs Border Patrol, causing them to pass their own stopgap bill for leaving for a 2-week Easter recess. Senate lawmakers will be back on Capitol Hill to discuss next steps. We believe before all of them head out, the DHS shutdown now marking the longest partial government shutdown in history. However, TSA agents could be paid as soon as today after President Trump signed an executive order stepping in on Friday. Travelers are still dealing with hours-long security lines at America's airports all weekend. Joining me now is Georgia Congressman Buddy Carter. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. So how did you see what took place on Friday?
Well, it was obviously the Senate trying to jam the House, as they often do, and we weren't going to stand for it. I mean, look, all this is so unnecessary. The Department of Homeland Security, I would submit to you, we've never needed them more than we need them now. We are in a conflict with Iran now, the leading sponsor of terrorism in the world over the past 47 years, and we need to make sure that we're protecting our people, protecting our country. The number one responsibility of the federal government is to protect our homeland, protect our citizens, and we can only do that if DHS is funded and if they are working.
Yeah, I mean, Lisa McClain told me that she doesn't want to roll the dice and put the funding for CBP and ICE into a reconciliation plan. But it looks like you're going to need a reconciliation plan to get your priorities through. I mean, Senator Lindsey Graham is talking about plans for this second Republican-only reconciliation bill to boost funding for things like immigration enforcement, military spending, new election rules. The SAVE Act maybe can be a budget item. He says, quote, the number one priority of the federal government has always been keeping our homeland safe and keeping our enemies at bay over there so they can't hit us over here. The purpose of a second reconciliation is to make sure there is adequate funding to secure our homeland and to support our men and women in military who are fighting so bravely. More funding would mean they can complete the task assigned and keep America safe. Congressman, do you support a second reconciliation bill?
I do, but let me say this. Look, reconciliation is not easy. We made it look easy with the Working Family Tax Cut Act, but it is not easy. I'm a member of the Budget Committee. You have to have a budget resolution to begin with. Keep in mind, any money that you're going to spend, you have to offset with cuts. So it is a difficult process. However, we are up to that. We can do it, and we will do it if we need to. But these politics that the Democrats and John Ossoff are playing with the American people, this is ridiculous, and they're going to pay the price for this come November, because I can assure you we're going to remind people of what they were doing. They were putting illegal immigrants and terrorists in front of the safety of American citizens, and that is just despicable.
You know, Congressman, most people look at this and they say, I don't understand why the Republicans are never on the same page. And I'm wondering if, at the end of the day, you are going to have to remove the filibuster in the Senate. I mean, look, you're not getting anything done. The Republicans, the Democrats are threatening that they would remove the filibuster. How are you all going to feel when the Democrats are in charge in the Senate and they remove the filibuster? Here's Ron Johnson on that subject with me yesterday. Watch this.
How much broken can the United States Senate get? It's always been described as the saucer beneath the cup of tea to cool the passions. I'm describing it as no. It's more like the plaque in the arteries that are causing a heart attack. So, again, my colleagues say, we don't want to be responsible for breaking the Senate. How could it be much more broken when we can't even fund the very agency when we're at war with Iran? They might possibly have sleeper cells here in this country. We can't even fund the very agency designed to keep our homeland safe. I don't see how it can get much worse. So I'm for ending the 60-vote threshold and ending the filibuster.
And do you think that'll happen?
It'll require Republican public pressure to force enough Republican senators to do that. Unfortunately, I think we've got Republican senators that are willing to die on that hill as well.
So, Congressman, I know that it's a hard call to make because you want to be able to push back on legislation you don't like from the other side. But if the Democrats are going to do it anyway, should the Senate remove it?
Absolutely, they should remove it. And look, it would be naive of us to think that they're not going to do it when they get the opportunity to do it, because I can assure you they are going to. So we should do that now. It's going to be the only way we're going to be able to get something like this done. Look at the SAVE Act. I mean, the SAVE Act, 80% of Americans want this, and yet we can't get it passed over in the Senate because of the filibuster. That's just ridiculous.
Now, apparently, President Trump is going to send Congress his fiscal year 27 budget next week on April 3rd. It will include his proposal for a $1.5 trillion defense outlay. It will include we're not sure if it's going to include that separate supplemental package that the Pentagon's asking for, $200 billion. Where are you on that budget?
Well, we need to get this budget done, and I'm glad the president and the administration can get it over to us on the budget committee so that we can work on this. Yes, we've got a lot we need to address. There's no question about that. And I think that we're going to have the opportunity to address a lot of good issues with this upcoming budget. I'm really looking forward to it, and I can tell you the budget committee is very optimistic about this.
Well, I mean, look, you're in the middle of a war. Do you support a $1.5 trillion defense spend?
Well, I support whatever it is we've got to do. Look, I applaud the president for doing this. Yeah. He is saving millions of lives in the future by making sure Iran never has a nuclear bomb. He is taking away an imminent threat of taking away their missiles.
All right, Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We'll keep following all of your work. Congressman Buddy Carter, stay with us. We'll be right back.